Go inside the Crimson Tide with your hosts Rodney Orr and Gary Harris, keeping you informed on everything Alabama. And now, Tider Insider TV.
It was a hard-fought game out there today. Very disappointing to lose a game like that. And I wish there was something else that I could do for the players to help them be more successful in the game.
And that's what chews at Nick Saban more than anything. Losing for himself, I think he doesn't like to lose, but it's the players that he really hurts for. Good evening, everybody, and welcome into Tider Insider TV on Wednesday evening this week because I was making my way back from Tampa yesterday, so we couldn't be with you. The program brought to you each and every week by Buffalo Rock Bottling Company, alongside Rodney Orr from TiderInsider.com. I'm Gary Harris. As always, we've got a great Pepsi product. Pepsi Zero again this week, max taste. Love that sound. Zero sugar. And I'm just beginning to wonder if my voice is ever going to get well, Rodney, but that sure feels good going down. A few little ice crystals in there. Did you notice that today? A little time in the freezer. Thanks to our good friends at Buffalo Rock. Remember to pick up terrific Pepsi products the next time you're at your local grocery store. Well, Rodney, Alabama was just literally a few seconds away from its 17th national championship, fifth in the last 8 years. But a 2-yard touchdown pass from Deshaun Watson to Bama killer Hunter Renfrow put an end to Bama's title hopes when that touchdown pass was completed. There was 1 second left on the clock. Rodney, we've had a couple of days now to digest what happened, and I know you've written about it and you've talked about it on TiderInsider.com, but just your Wednesday thoughts, 2 days removed from, let me say this before I lead you in. One thing about Alabama, when the Tide loses, it's epic. Yeah. No 31-0 beatdowns like Ohio State took. They are some of the most magical games, even when they lose, and that was the case. Monday night was a special football game between two great teams.
Yeah, it really was, Gary. When you look at it, I think it came down to one simple fact. And Alabama just could not sustain drives offensively. You're talking about 2 of 13 on third downs, including the last 12 that they didn't convert, 7 straight 3-and-outs at one point. I mean, you're really asking your defense a lot. When you talk about a defensive game, you're probably talking about 70 to 75 plays. Okay, so you take the first 73 plays of this game, Alabama gives up 14 points, okay? But unfortunately, we're only at the end of the third quarter at that point. So you go into the fourth quarter, in the final 26 plays of the game, Alabama gives up 21 points. People say, well, the defense collapsed. No, I really look at it like this. All of these things tie in together. Offense, defense, they all tie together. And, the inability to sustain offensive drives took its toll on the defense in the fourth quarter. And I think that's the bottom line to the whole game. 99 plays for Clemson, 66 for Alabama.
Yeah, I'm not going to be critical of the play calling and get into the Lane Kiffin versus Steve Sarkisian. I didn't have any problem with the play calling. I do think what you said is an issue. When you let the other team play 99 plays of offense, and I think Alabama was in the 68 play range, 66 play range, as you mentioned. Yeah. Maybe when Alabama was having all those 3-and-outs and they were miserable on third down offense, maybe you huddle up some. Maybe you run the ball just to run clock a little bit to save your defense. That didn't happen. But the third down woes for the offense really told the story.
Well, and again, I want to be clear. I was not pinpointing play calling by any stretch of the imagination.
Weren't. I'm just saying I didn't have any issues with it either.
Right. But when you look at it, Gary, you're in third and long a lot. This Clemson plan worked out. They wanted to get Jalen Hurts in third and long and make him throw the football. And I think several, maybe 10 of those third down situations were 7 or more. That's third and long. And Alabama's inability to complete passes on a consistent basis, it just took its toll. And again, not pinpointing any particular player, any particular side, but I think when you start looking at the numbers, those are really difficult things. Here's another thing. Brian Anderson picking up that ball right there. That's a difference in the game. It was a 4-point difference. He runs that ball in the end zone.
Hunter Renfrow.
Yeah.
Again.
And if he doesn't get knocked off his feet, that's 4 more points you're looking at. So there are a lot of little things that contributed in this game, but I really think Alabama's inability to sustain drives offensively took its toll.
Alabama could have won this game. But I said last week, Rodney, no excuses going in. I felt that way. I still feel that way. They were ready to play. I'm not using the Steve Sarkisian, Lane Kiffin situation as an issue at all. Clemson deserved to win the game.
Yeah, they did.
They made more plays. Now, that doesn't mean it doesn't hurt for Alabama and its fans because Alabama could have won the game. Again, this was not a blowout. Clemson didn't even lead until the fourth quarter. So I want to make sure I'm clear on this. Clemson deserved to win the national championship. All credit to them. But for Alabama, again, this program is so good. These teams that Nick Saban fields are so good. Even when they lose, like I said, it's epic. You know, you just don't see many games, if any, where Alabama just really got so thoroughly outplayed that they weren't in the game. So I think it hurts even more.
Yeah. Well, you know, I think, again, you have to look at Deshaun Watson and his experience, and you have to give him credit. I mean, certainly he had a fantastic game after Alabama really kind of had him rattled early on. But, you know, he bounced back. He had a fantastic game, and it took him all the way down to the last throw of his career, the last second of the game, to win this game. And, again, all those numbers we threw out there, but it came down to that last play.
Well, the senior class doesn't finish the way it would have liked to, but it's still a class that won 51 games, 3 straight SEC championships, that hadn't been done since the 90s, and a national title. Let's hear from Coach Saban about how he views this special group of seniors.
Their leadership has been commendable all season long, and these guys have accomplished tremendous amount of success for the University of Alabama in the years that they've been here. To win 3 straight SEC championships, to be the playoffs 3 straight years, to win a national championship last year. You know, these guys have really done a fantastic job of representing the university, and I'm really proud of these guys, and they're winners in every way.
We had an awesome season. You know, undefeated in the SEC, back-to-back, you know, SEC championships. National championship last year, won the bowl game versus Michigan State last year. So, I mean, as like our resume for this, man, we all right, bro. We all right.
All right, Rodney, we're got to pick it up pace-wise, but a quick thought on this senior class. And there'll be some juniors that leave, too, I understand that, but really a special group of football players.
Yeah, it really is, you know, and you know, when you start looking at those guys, and some of the guys that were fifth-year seniors, too, like Ryan Anderson, I mean, the way he finished his career, I mean, all these guys, Jonathan Allen, certainly gave their all and had fantastic careers. I mean, when you start, you know, putting down all the rings that they won and the things that they did and all of their accomplishments, I mean, it's phenomenal. Look at Reuben Foster there. I mean, what a story he is and how far he came in his career. And, you know, just so many really good stories, Gary. And it's a lot to be, you know, when you start looking at this team, even though they maybe fell a little short in terms of winning the national championship, it was a great year.
All right, still to come on Tighter Insider Television. The end of the football season could lead to some changes on the coaching staff. We'll discuss the latest. Plus, the Najee Harris saga is finally over. We'll look ahead to next year's Crimson Tide, and this guy could be running the football for them. And we'll be welcoming your phone calls, emails, and tweets. As always, the phone number's the same, 205-348-WVUA. That's 348-9882. Email us at the address on your screen, or you can tweet at us using the hashtag TITV. We'll be right back with the show that takes you inside the Crimson Tide. Tighter Insider TV will return right after this. Oh, despite all the Michigan people crowing and saying it was going to flip Najee Harris from Alabama to Michigan, and all the rumors turned out to be just that, rumors. This video, courtesy of AL.com. It's Harris with another early enrollee, Tua Tagovailoa, at the Birmingham airport on Sunday. The 5-star running back, considered by many to be the #1 recruit in the 2017 class, enrolled at Alabama today and is in classes along with Tua. That could be a dynamic duo. Welcome back to TITV. More on that class in a moment. But first, Rodney, some breaking news. It's being reported that Ardarius Stewart, the junior wide receiver out of Fultondale, will not return to Alabama, is going to enter the draft. Also, Derek Gore, backup running back, tweeted out that he's going to transfer. So a couple of players leaving. Ardarius Stewart, in his case, great career at Alabama. We wish him the best. Well, Harris will join another loaded class to go along with a lot of returning talent. Bo Scarborough came along late in the season before suffering a lower leg fracture during the national championship game, but he'll be back. So will Jalen Hurts and Calvin Ridley and Jonah Williams. And on defense, Rashaan Evans, Deron Payne, Mika Fitzpatrick. Sean Deion Hamilton, and others. It goes on and on. Rodney, a disappointing finish to the season, but what's your take on some of these early enrollees, including Tua Tagovailoa and Najee Harris?
Well, I think, when you look at it, that's kind of going to become a trend, Gary. I think with these early enrollees, it already has, and I think this year, Alabama may have more early enrollees than they've ever had. I think it gives them a great opportunity, as we've talked about before. You look at last year when Jalen Hurts came in early, what a leg up it gave him in terms of getting acclimated. And how about Jonah Williams would be another one, Miller Forrestall. You can go on and on about some of the freshmen that entered early last year that had an opportunity to contribute this year. And I think certainly there's going to be that very similar situation in this coming season as well. Tua Tagovailoa, he's walking into a situation where, you really don't have a backup quarterback right now. So at worst, he's probably number 2 coming in. And certainly will provide really good competition, I think, this spring. And Najee Harris, he's coming into maybe a crowded backfield of sorts, but he is a talented enough guy, Gary, that I think he can earn some playing time next year.
And I know a lot of other fan bases are celebrating Alabama not winning the national championship, but this roster looks loaded again, probably going to be the preseason #1 team in 2017. You mentioned a lot of the young guys, but there's some veteran leadership returning on this team as well.
Yeah, I think, certainly when you look at it, you look at some of the offensive linemen that have been around. Ross Pierschbaker's been around quite a while. Bradley Bozeman up front. Jonah Williams, even though he's a freshman this year, he's like a veteran almost. And, Hurts has got all the experience at quarterback with 14 games started this year. The running backs, certainly you return all of those guys. You got Ridley coming back at wide receiver. Cam Sims has been around a while. You're going to have to replace O.J. Howard, but they've got some guys, Hale Hinches, Miller Forrestall, and Irv Smith's a guy that played some this year as a true freshman. So, they've got some experience coming back on that side. You're losing guys up front defensively. I think that's the real key when you're talking about Jonathan Allen, Dalvin Tomlinson. On the outside, you had Ryan Anderson, Tim Williams, certainly all those guys. And then inside with Reuben Foster, going to be very difficult to replace. But there are some guys that have been waiting in the wings. Some of them played in this particular game against Clemson and played well. So, again, I think you replenish some of those guys up front, Gary, and you're in, like you said, really good situation.
Well, it's rare that a coaching staff in college football returns intact, even at Alabama. Lane Kiffin already moving on to Florida Atlantic. A chance Mario Cristobal may not be returning. Various reports out of Oregon say that he is set to join Coach Willie Taggart's new staff there with the Ducks as offensive coordinator. Here he is the O-line coach handling the tackles and tight ends, as well as assistant head coach and a terrific recruiter. You see Coach Cristobal right there in the red sweatshirt, red long-sleeve T-shirt. If he were to leave, what type of blow would that be to the Alabama coaching staff?
Well, I think anytime you have an excellent recruiter like him, and he's done a tremendous job. I mean, just look at some of the guys he's got. And you got Ridley, Calvin Ridley. He got Minka Fitzpatrick. He's got experience in a lot of ties up on the East Coast recruiting, as well as down in Miami and the South Florida area. Jerry Jeudy would be another guy that he recruited that's coming in this class as an early enrollee. So, he's a tremendous recruiter, Gary, and he's going to another part of the country, though. I'm not really sure what his connections are, in terms of recruiting up in that part of the country, but he does have some really strong connections in the other areas.
Again, nothing official there, but reports out of Oregon say Cristobal expected to join the Duck staff, but we've heard that before, and Nick Saban sometimes steps in and can keep some of these coaches, so we'll keep you up to date. Also, some reports that Billy Napier is being considered for the offensive coordinator opening at Pitt. He is the Alabama wide receivers coach. Well, coming up, an update on the men's basketball team, and next, we'll be welcoming your phone calls, emails, and tweets. Go ahead and call in now so you can get in line. 205-348-9882 is the number. You can email us. You can also tweet at us using the hashtag TITV. We'll be right back with more Tighter Insider Television Wednesday this week instead of Tuesday. Stay with us. After starting SEC play with consecutive wins, 2 of them, the Alabama men's basketball team lost for the first time in conference play last night at home. No shame here. Florida was ranked number 23, 80-67. The Tide came back from an 18-point deficit in the first half to lead by as many as 6 in the second half, but tied at 62. Florida outscored the Tide 18-5 down the stretch. Alabama's now 2-1 in the league and will face LSU in Baton Rouge on Saturday. Well, thanks for keeping it right here on Tighter Insider TV. We're going to go ahead and head to the phone lines. First up tonight is Sammy in Walker County. Welcome in, Sammy. How are you?
Thanks, Gary, for taking my call.
Yes,
you
sir.
and Rodney. All best wishes and everything for the new year.
Thank you.
My take on the game was, I'll see what you and Rodney think. And we did it last year, but when you run up against a player the magnitude of a Deshaun Watson, if you do stop him, and they just scored 7 points the first half, you had better score on offense every time you can, preferably a touchdown, an extra point, because he's going to come back on you. You just have to outscore him. I don't think you'll stop him, but you just have to outscore him.
Right, Sammy, you make a great point, and Rodney's already alluded to that. You can't let them run 99 plays. They're too good offensively. I thought Alabama defensed him incredibly well in the first half. I mean, super. Other than that little slip screen across the middle that went for big yardage, pretty much shut him down in the first half. But you're right. You keep giving him cracks. They ran too many plays, and I put some of that on Alabama's offense. We already talked about it. There could have been ways to sped that clock up and kept them. Maybe if they run 88 plays, they don't win the game. 99 plays too many for an offense that's that prolific and a quarterback that good.
Well, you've got to keep him off the field. That's the best defense against a guy like that, is keeping him off the field, Sammy. And, certainly, let's be clear. Alabama's offense tried to score.
That's right.
Clemson has a great defense. I mean, there's no question about that. It's one of the most athletic defenses that Alabama's faced all year. So you've got to give them credit. Alabama did, everything they could possibly do. I thought they started off the game really well, Gary, and started setting the tempo, running the football. And again, Clemson made some adjustments, made it difficult, got Alabama in those third down situations. Very difficult.
Yeah, and again, no excuses. Clemson won the game. They earned it. Didn't help Alabama when Bo Scarborough went down with that lower leg injury. I mean, he was the main offensive weapon they had in that game. But he did go down, and Alabama didn't overcome it. All right, let's go to Anniston and talk with our good friend Harold. Harold, what's up, man?
Hey, how you doing, guys?
Well.
Hey, guys, I want to thank you, both of y'all, man. Y'all made this football season this year great, man, and I really like watching y'all. And, hey, I want to say Alabama had a great year, man. Good run. And Coach Saban, fabulous as always, Hey, I have no bad feelings, man. I love my team, and I think they did great. I just want to ask you guys, man, I see Tua Tagovailoa is coming in. And the bottom line is, guys, we got to get better in the passing game. I love Jalen Hurts, man, but my thought is if he can't get it done, we're going to have to let that competition play out, man, and we might have another freshman quarterback.
All right, Harold. Yeah, we got you. Yeah, competition's great. I got no problem with it. Anybody knows me knows I just want to play the best guy. Tua is going to push Jalen. I think it's terrific. If Tua's the best guy, I expect that he'll play. Only thing I've said with the criticism Jalen Hurts has received recently is he's the SEC Offensive Player of the Year. He's a freshman. He's talented. He's not going to roll over and die. I'm with you. Having those two guys on the same team, it's going to be good for both of them.
Oh, absolutely. I think, having Tua Tagovailoa here this spring certainly will push Jalen Hurts. I don't think there's any question about that. And I do think Gary's right. I mean, sometimes when you're talking about a true freshman quarterback, 18-year-old kid, he just turned 18 in August. I mean, this guy accounted for a school record 36 touchdowns this year. And you know what? He might not have had his best game the other night, but, when the chips were on the line,
he put it in the end
team
zone.
got down the field. He made a tremendous run. He stuck the ball in the end zone. And unfortunately, there was 2:07 left in the game when he crossed the goal line. Clemson had an opportunity to come back down the field. But this guy, I mean, what a competitor.
And 3rd and 16 made a great throw to Ardarius Stewart for 15 yards.
That's right.
That allowed him to get the first with Damian Harris on a 4th down. All right, let's take a tweet. This is from Don Juan. Why couldn't we stop Clemson in the 4th quarter? We have talked a lot about this, Don Juan. They wore Alabama's defense down. There is no doubt about that, my man. And 21 points in the 4th quarter proves it. Remember, they had 14 through 3 quarters. They were on the field too much, the defense was. Clemson got it going. And give their guys some credit, too. I mean, they made some catches, man.
Absolutely.
Mike Williams, the tight end from down in the Panhandle, Leggett, they made some big-time throws and catches.
Absolutely. I mean, you look at Wayne Gallman there. I mean, he ran extremely hard. Again, I just think that Alabama's defense, man, I mean, they played extremely hard, Gary, with a lot of intensity, for so many plays, and eventually when they kept having to come back on the field, I say it, I can't emphasize it enough, it just took a toll.
All right, we got to get to a break. We'll be back with more TITV right after this. Welcome back, everybody. I want to mention Bama Gymnastics opening up the season in style this Friday night at home against top-ranked LSU. I tell you what, this Alabama Gymnastics team has a heck of an early schedule. Friday night at home, gymnastics gets going. Let's go right back to the phone line. Sam has been patiently holding in Marion County. Sam, we appreciate your patience. How are you, man?
I'm fine. Thank you, gentlemen, for taking my call.
Yes, sir.
I got a couple of questions, but first of all, I want to thank you and Rod for for your expertise this year. I've really enjoyed the show all year
Thanks.
long. And
Appreciate that.
first of all, what is a pick? We've had 2 in the championship game, both for a touchdown. And Saban, he was kind of having a fit on the sideline.
Right.
And my next question is, what is this deal with rolling Toomer's corner?
Okay, Sam, thanks. Good questions, both of them. A pick play is illegal. It very rarely gets called. The idea is for the receiver in man coverage to pick off the defender so that the other guy comes open. They call it a rub play, but that first touchdown they ran, it was a blatant pick. It should have been called. The last one, I don't know. It's very rarely called, but it is an illegal play.
Well, they overturned a play David Robinson's son a couple of years ago when Notre Dame had Florida State beat because of a pick play. And I don't think it was as flagrant as those 2. Now, let me be clear. I'm not saying blaming the loss on those plays, but if they're the rules, you should call it.
Technically, it's an illegal play, and they really were picks. They weren't rubs. They were picks. You know, Alabama got caught in the wrong defense. You're man-to-man. They run that pick on the goal line. It's almost impossible to cover it if you don't pass the guy off. And they were man-to-man. All right, the Auburn look with rolling the Toomer's corner is not a good look for them, in my opinion. Roll when you celebrate a big win of your own. I think a lot of Auburn fans I know are embarrassed by it. Just don't think it's a good look for their program.
Well, I agree with you. I think it's one thing to pull for your rival to lose. There's nothing wrong with that. But to roll the Toomer's corner, which is really something they do when they win, I mean, I agree with you. It doesn't look good.
All right, we're going to try to get to John real quick. Go fast, John. We're up against it. All right, we've lost John. We have got to get to break so we can get out of the show on time. Thanks for the phone calls. We'll be back after this. Quick note on A-Day. It has been set for April 22nd. Television coverage and kickoff time not yet determined, but always a lot of fun, free to the public at Bryant-Denny Stadium. Well, as always, our beautiful shirts, part of the original Elephant Wear collection from the Locker Room in downtown Tuscaloosa. Man, get by and check out all of their original Elephant Wear and other fine clothing, or you can shop online as well at lockerroom-biz. All right, that's going to do it for the show for tonight. Replay at 10:30 for Rodney Orr. I'm Gary Harris. Have a good evening.